Now, in the first section, we talked about how fear is imagining the worst case scenario and hope is imagining the best case scenario. But I want to get a little more specific with that. I want you to take a second to think about your best case scenario. I want you to think about your wildest hopes and dreams. I want you to think about what is it that you want to achieve in life. I want you to think of all those negative thoughts that come to mind that tell you you can't do it. We've already talked about limiting beliefs. What are those thoughts that say, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not educated enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not well trained enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough?
Because maybe I'm not good enough.
Yes, you are.
No, maybe I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Maybe I'm not.
You are.
Maybe I'm not.
You are.
Those thoughts are called NATs, or negative automatic thoughts. Here's some bad news. Human beings have around 50,000 thoughts a day, and more than 70% of them are negative. As we learned in the first section, this is a safety response. It's your brain trying to stop you from doing anything that could potentially hurt you. So what it does is it plays the worst case scenario in your brain, and that stops you from going for it. But here's the problem. There's no bigger rush of dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin that exists than actually accomplishing a goal or fulfilling promises that you've made to yourself. So what we have to do is we have to identify these NATs, or negative automatic thoughts. We have to get specific about them. So this is a part where I need you to write these down. I want you to write down 5 things that you tell yourself every day why you're not good enough to achieve your goals. What are 5 things you say to yourself? Write those down now. Now that you've written that down, I want to go a little deeper. I'm going to ask you to be emotionally honest. Know that no one's going to read this but you. I want you to write down 5 things that you criticize yourself for. 5 things that you really beat yourself up over. Things that you tell yourself on a daily basis that you're really hard on yourself with, or really ridicule yourself about. Write down 5 of those things right now. Now that you've done that, I'm going to ask you to be very emotionally honest. I want you to write down 5 things you maybe don't like about yourself. I want you to write down 5 things when you look in the mirror or compare yourself to others. What are the things that you say to yourself? First of all, thank you for doing that. I know that that's not easy, and I know that that can be a bit of a downer, writing those things. So let's flip it a little bit. On the next page, I want you to write down something that you love most about a person in your life. In fact, take a second to think about the person that you love most in this world. Imagine the person that means so much to you. And if you have multiple, congratulations. Just pick one that you truly adore. And I want you to write down 5 to 10 things that you really love and admire about this person. That's a little more pleasant, right? We're going to use our imaginations. And I'm going to show you how your thoughts are affecting the way you live your life. Feel free to turn around, find a space that's secluded where no one else can hear you. And I want you to really use your imagination right now. I want you to imagine that the person you love most in the world is standing right in front of you. I want you to imagine looking into their eyes. I want you to imagine holding their hands. And I want you to imagine telling them you have something you want to say to them. Now flip over to that page of negative automatic thoughts that you wrote down about yourself. I want you to imagine looking into the eyes of the person you love the most and saying these things to them. Only I want you to change it. Instead of saying, I am not good enough because of this, I don't like this about myself, I want you to use the word you. I want you to say, you are not good enough because of this. I don't like this about you. I want you to take a second, read through your list, And imagine saying these things to that loved one. Well, that was awful, wasn't it? Did any of you refuse to do it? Did any of you make it through the list and go, gosh, this is harsh? Let me go even further. Would any of you consider what you just did mean, abusive even? Would you ever say these things to someone you love? Would you ever say these things to a stranger on the street? Probably not. But here's the thing. We're saying these to ourselves all of the time. In section 1, we talked about how your brain doesn't know the difference on an emotional level between what's real and what we imagine in our heads. Right now, I want you to know that your brain on an emotional level doesn't know the difference between the words somebody says to you and the words you say to yourself. So, if you wouldn't say these things to someone you love or some random person on the street, understand that when you say it to yourself, it reacts the exact same in the brain. I have a video that I want you to watch. Take a look, and then we're going to write a little bit about it after.